In today's video, I'll be walking you through step by step on how to buy a house. Buying a house can be very stressful and cause you a lot of anxiety if you're unfamiliar with the process, especially if you're a first-time homebuyer. But the more you understand the process, the more money you will save and the happier you'll be during this whole process. That's why I created this complete step-by-step guide for beginners that breaks down and explains each step of the home buying process. From how to get a loan, to what happens during the offer and the closing process, to finally how to avoid common scams after you close on your home. This is everything you need to know about the home buying process, so remember to save this video so that you can know what to look out for and what to avoid in each of these steps, so that you don't make a mistake that could cost you tens of thousands of dollars on this biggest purchase of your life. At the end of this video, I want you to feel like an expert on the entire home buying process. So much so that I want your realtor to compliment you on how prepared you are. Step number 1, get your finances in order. Most people buying a home will need to take out a mortgage. Here's how to check out your credit score. Most of the banks out there offer credit scores when you bank with them, but the federal government has also created a resource that you can use to get a free credit report from 3 credit reporting agencies at annualcreditreport.com. You can get a free credit report every single year. The minimum credit score you need to qualify for an FHA loan is 550. So if you have a credit score lower than this, you need to do your best to bring your score higher. So here's the general guidelines on what types of loan you could qualify for based on your credit score. We'll go over them more later. You might think that you need to have a perfect 850 credit score in order to get the best interest rate. But in most cases, you just need to be 740 or above. Here's a tier list you can use to see what types of rates you can get based on your credit score. There are different types of loans you can get that fits your particular situation. Here's a quick overview of the pros and cons of each loan types. An FHA loan is a government-backed mortgage that's designed to help first-time homebuyers with a lower credit score and smaller down payments. The pros are the lower down payment is as low as 3.5%, and the more lenient credit score requirements makes you easier to buy a home. The cons include that the higher mortgage insurance costs and the limits on the loan amount based on its location. And compare that to a conventional loan, which is a standard mortgage not insured by the government and typically requires a higher credit score and a higher down payment compared to the FHA loans. Pros includes that potentially you will get a better and lower mortgage insurance costs at no upfront funding fees. The cons are it's typically harder to qualify for, particularly for those with a lower credit score. And there are other types of loans that might be better suited for your situation, such as the VA loan that requires 0 down payments for veterans. If you're interested in understanding which loan type is best for you, feel free to use the link down below to connect with a lender. After understanding different types of loan, here is a quick math to help you find out how much you need to have in your bank in order to buy a house. I promise you I'll keep this simple and quick. The first number we need to know or remember is 30%. This is how much your gross income you should spend on a home every month. Let's, for example, say the household income, your entire family, makes $100,000. Use today's interest rate of 6.5%. You can afford a home in about the $365,000 price range. Then the second number to remember is 3%. This is the average closing cost of buying a home when you're using a mortgage. Here's an example closing cost estimate on a home that costs $360,000 with 20% down. You need to pay for the title-related services and appraisal fee for around $5,000. And in this particular example, you'll also be paying 0.83% of the loan amount in points, which means that you're buying down your interest rate. Then you'll need to bring $3,929 to cover about 2 months of property taxes, insurance, and escrow fees. This brings your closing cost to $8,941, or around 2.5% of the home price. So remember to use the 3% rule to estimate your closing costs. Finally, do not forget your down payments. To get the best rate, you typically need to have 20% down. Anything below this, you may have to pay mortgage insurance. And using the $360,000 home example, you need to bring about a total of $80,941 to a table as down payments and closing costs, which I know sounds intimidating for a lot of first-time homebuyers. So now it's more common to only put down 10%, 5%, or sometimes even 3.5% as your down payment. And after you got your finances in order, let's talk about step number 2. Getting a pre-approval letter before you start touring a home. Having a pre-approval letter gives you 2 benefits. First one is to have a rough estimate of how much you can spend. This is the most you can spend on a home, and lender usually give you up to 43% of your monthly income, giving you more purchasing power than what you're comfortable with. And it is not perfect, but it's a good starting point. Second is to have a way to prove to the seller that you can afford the home. When submitting an offer, your offer should include your pre-approval letter, letting the seller know, hey, I am qualified. I am qualified to buy this home. I've been approved of this much buying power, purchasing power for this home, so you can trust that I can bring enough money to the closing table and buy your home. And here's how to get a pre-approval letter. Most lenders will require you to provide some basic documentations like proof of income in your pay stub and tax returns, your proof of assets in your bank statements, and information on your debts such as your student loans and credit cards. This helps them assess your financial situation and determine how much you can afford. Once they've reviewed everything, they'll issue a pre-approval letter outlining the maximum loan amount you'll be eligible for. This is where it's crucial to work with a trusted lender, one who is transparent and takes the time to explain the numbers to you. This is also usually where you should find a realtor. They'll often recommend you to a lender they've worked with, who will grant you an approval letter. When getting your pre-approval, you want to make sure to get one using a soft credit check. A hard credit check will lower your credit score by a few points, and a few points lower at this stage could drop you down a tier in interest rate when qualifying for a mortgage. So if you're looking to get a lender pre-approval letter without a hard pull on your credit report, you can go through a non-committed pre-approval using the link down below. If you are already working with a realtor, that's great. But if you're still looking for a realtor or a lender, use the link down below to match with a trusted lender or realtor in your area. Now that we got the preparation out of the way, let's move up to step number 3, finding your dream home. This is where the real excitement begins. But it's also very important to set realistic expectations from the start. While it's easy to get swept up in the idea of finding your dream home, the key to approach the process is to with a clear understanding of what you're looking for and what is available in your price range. When it comes to searching for homes, many of us will turn to websites like Zillow, Redfin, and Realtors.com. These sites are super helpful, but it's worth noting that they often don't have the most up-to-date listings. Zillow and Redfin, for example, may have a delay in updating their information. In a competitive market, this can result in missing out on the home you are interested in. This is also where MLS or multiple listing service comes in. This is where we real estate professionals first post our listings, and then sites like Zillow and Redfin will later pull the data from the database. So if you want to get the first access to the newest listing coming onto the market, ask your realtor to set up the MLS access. So if you want to get first access to the newest listing coming onto the market, ask your realtors to set up an MLS search that notifies you immediately whenever a qualifying listing comes onto the market. In addition to the standard listings, you might also want to consider pocket listings and off-market homes. These are properties that aren't publicly listed and that they can sometimes offer you a better chance to purchase a home before it hits the market. Pocket listings can be especially useful if you're looking for something unique, like a very specific floor plan, or if you're trying to get a better deal. Since there are less competitions, you might have the opportunity to negotiate for a lower price. Having a good agent who is connected with the local market can open doors to these off-market opportunities, giving you a competitive edge. And step number 4, what to watch out for when touring a home. Each home will have issues, but you want to avoid the most expensive ones. Here are the areas that I'll be focusing on when touring a home. First, I toured the outside of the home. On the outside, I will first take a look at the condenser unit to see how old it is. Take a picture of the model number and then search the model number online if the year isn't clearly shown. This will tell you roughly the age of the unit. Then take a good look at the roof. Typically, shingles are the most common types of roofing materials. If the color doesn't look as sharp, this could mean the roof is towards the end of its lifespan. The big issue with the roof is that you want to make sure it isn't leaking water. That's going to be hard to find with your naked eyes. But the older the roof looks, the more likely it has some issues. And on the seller disclosure form, at least in Texas one, the seller will disclose the age of the roof. You can also have your realtor ask the seller how old the roof is. And this is a pretty good rule of thumb. If you have any questions about what you saw when you are touring the home, have your agent ask the listing agent and then the seller about it. They should have the answers you need. And if they don't, that could be a big red flag. And one last thing to tour before going inside the home is to walk around the perimeter of the home and notice the foundation. Now, not every crack in the foundation means there are foundation issues. It could just be cosmetic. But here's what to look out for to get a better idea what the issue is. Look for large, visible cracks, especially those seem to have expanding and have shifted in shape. If you notice there are cracks around the windows or doors that don't close properly, this could indicate the movements in the foundation. Additionally, check for uneven floors or walls that appears to be leaning somewhere or the other. These are potentially the signs that the foundation may be settling or shifting. If something doesn't feel right, ask your realtor to talk to the seller again about any foundation issues and check the seller disclosure form, which is required in some states. But what's more likely is that you will need to have a professional to come out and perform an inspection during your option or due diligence period to get a professional opinion. Now let's tour the inside of the home. Here are some items I will focus on the inside of the home. Take a close look at the ceilings. Are there any discolorations or yellow patches? This could be signs of water leaks, either from the pipes or the roof leaks. Notice if there's any cracks on the walls. I'm not talking about paint cracks like this, which usually are just normal cosmetic issues. You should look for deeper cracks that go through the drywall or the plaster. Also, big appliances like water heater are usually located in the garage, and you want to check the age of the water heater as well as any other major appliances like the furnace. Only after checking these things, then you can start looking at the layouts, the cabinets, and how you feel when you enter the home. All these other things that aren't essentials and doesn't cost a fortune to fix before you can safely live in the house. After you found the home you love, we can now move to step number 5, placing an offer. Every real estate market is different, and the strategies that work in one area might not be effective in the other. That being said, here are some tips that works for all areas on how to place an offer and avoid overpaying, which could cause your offer not to appraise, and also ensure you're not underpaying and risk losing out on your dream home. First, start by reviewing recent sales of similar homes in the area to get an accurate sense of the market value. You want to make sure if it's a one-story home, you check the one-story homes in that area within 10 to 20% in terms of square footage. If it has something unique like a patio or a sunroom, then you want to subtract those or add those into your calculation of the home value. Your agent can also help you analyze comparable sales or comps to determine a fair price range for the property. Some markets like Texas do not make final sales price publicly available, but as real estate agents, we'll have access to these data and use them to guide you through your offer process. Next, it's important to remember that price is only one part of the offer. Think of your offer as a comprehensive package where the price you offer is just one component. Other factors to consider include how quickly you can close on the home, whether you are willing to offer a lease back to the seller, giving them more time to move out, or if you want the seller to pay for title insurance or other closing costs. These elements can make your offer more attractive and competitive, especially in a multiple offer situation. Finally, it's important to understand how contingencies affect your offer package. As a first-time homebuyer, there are some contingencies I recommend you not to waive, such as the inspection and the appraisal contingencies. Waiving these protections could expose you to unexpected repair costs or force you to move forward with the deal even if the home doesn't appraise at the offer price. Protecting yourself with these contingencies help reduce the risk in the home buying process. Be sure to lean on your real estate agent on this. They are professionals who know the different ways and the ins and outs of contract and how to package your offer so that it protects you and help you win your home. If you're looking for a trusted realtor in your area, feel free to click the link down below and I'll match you with the real estate professional in your area who does business just like me. After your offer is accepted, here's what happens in step number 6 when we are officially under contract. This will differ between states, but here's generally what happens. The first thing you need to do is to deposit your earnest money and option fee into an escrow account, typically managed by the title company or an attorney. Earnest money is a good faith deposit, usually 1 to 3% of the purchase price, showing the seller you are serious about buying the home. The option fee, if applicable in your state, is a smaller, non-refundable fee that secures your right to back out of the contract during the option or due diligence period. Both payments are typically due within 1 to 3 days after the contract is signed by both parties. Make sure to confirm the exact amount and the deadlines stated in your contract. These funds are credited back to you at closing, provided the deal goes through. If you're buying a home in a state that has an option period or due diligence period, or you have an inspection contingency in your offer, you will now have a set amount of time to inspect the property thoroughly and negotiate any necessary repairs or credits. So you want to get started on this as soon as possible. During this period, you can hire professionals to conduct inspections, such as general home inspection, pest inspection, or specialized inspection for areas like roof foundation or your HVAC system. Typically, you want to start with a general home inspection that will cost around $500 to $700, depending on the size of your home in the area. And for specialized inspections, such as testing for hazardous materials, it's important to note that some homes built before 1978, they may contain asbestos in the siding, insulation, or the paint. The test will cost around $200 to $300 to get tested accurately. And additionally, if the home has older plumbing, you may need to test for lead in the pipes or fixtures, as the home built before 1980s usually or often will use materials that may leak lead into the water supply. These specialized inspections can identify potential issues early, help you make informed decisions, and ensure your home is safe and up to modern standard before finalizing the purchase. If issues are uncovered, you can negotiate the terms of your offer, ask for repairs, or reduce or request for a price reduction, or in some cases, back out of the contract without a penalty. This is your opportunity to ensure the property, the home, meets your expectation before moving forward with the purchase. And after the inspection phase, the next key step is the appraisal. If you're financing your home purchase with a mortgage, your lender will require an appraisal to determine the property market value. The appraiser, hired by the lender, but you'll be the one paying for it, they will assess the home to ensure its value support the loan amount. If the appraisal comes in at or above the agreed upon purchase price, you're in the clear. However, if the appraisal is lower than the purchase price, you may need to negotiate with the seller to lower the price. Pay the difference out of pocket, or in some cases, walk away from the deal if your contract allows. For a lot of first-time home buyers, this means you might not have enough money to meet the appraisal gap. If you backed out of the contract now and you waived your appraisal contingency, you could lose out on your earnest money, which remember was 1 to 3% of the home price. That's $3,600 to $10,000 in our $360,000 home example. That's why I don't think it's a good idea to not have the appraisal contingency in your offer to protect you when submitting your offer. Simultaneously, a title search will be conducted during this entire process to ensure there are no legal issues, such as liens, disputes, or unpaid taxes on the home. This step will be handled by the title company or attorney depending on your state, and once the title search is complete and the property is deemed clear, title insurance is issued to protect you and the lender, if you're financing your home, from any future claims against the property. So there won't be a random John Smith 5 years after owning the home come out and say this is his dad's home and it belongs to him and you shouldn't have the right to buy it. So that's why it's important to have title insurance on your home. Another important task during this period is finalizing any repairs or credits negotiated after the inspection. If you and the seller agreed on specific repairs, ensure those are completed before closing, and make sure to have contract in place signed by both parties to guarantee that. In many cases, you may choose to have the repairs re-inspected or negotiated a credit at closing if the seller prefers not to complete the work themselves. While under contract, you will also work closely with your lender to provide any additional documentations they require for loan underwritings. This may include updated bank statements, pay stubs, or other financial records. It's crucial to respond promptly to these requests to avoid delays in the closing process. Finally, before closing, you will conduct a final walkthrough to ensure the property is in the agreed upon condition and that any negotiated repairs have been completed. This step is typically done within 24 to 48 hours of closing date and gives you one last opportunity to identify any issues. Throughout this entire process, stay in close touch with your real estate agent, your lender, and the title company to ensure everything's on track for a smooth closing. Once all contingencies are cleared, the loan is approved, and then the title is ready, you will move on to the final step, closing date. Finally, we're on closing day, and here's how to be prepared and what to look out for. First, a few days before closing, your lender will send you a document called the closing disclosures. This outlines all your final costs, your loan terms, and your monthly payments, and the total cash you need to bring to closing. Review these carefully. If anything looks different from your initial disclosure, contact your lender or agent immediately to get it corrected before closing date. You also want to contact utility companies to set up your accounts so that you can turn on the light on the day you move in. This process can be quite time-consuming, so as a viewer of this video, you can receive a free utility setup service using the link in the description box below. Usually, this is a perk only for my clients, but for now, it is also free for you to use. Click on the utility link in the description box to get started. Next, gather everything you need to bring to closing. Here is the checklist: a government-issued photo ID, proof of homeowner insurance, any final documents your lender requested, and a certified or cashier check for the closing costs if required. Some title companies will also accept wire transfer, so confirm how they want you to pay in advance. I personally recommend to all of my clients to call the title company point of contact and reread any wiring instruction they've sent over email. A lot of money is being transferred at this step, so there are a lot of scammers that are targeting home buyers at this particular step. So it's worth to double and triple check any information that you got sent by the title company. At the closing appointment, you will sign a lot of documents, including the loan agreement, the title documents, and the settlement statement that breaks down all of these costs. Take your time and review each one before signing. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. And finally, before you leave the closing appointment, double check everything is in order. Make sure you got the keys, make sure you got the garage remotes, any agreed upon items like appliances, like a fridge, washers and dryer if they were sold during the property. They should be there in the house. If your community has a community pool, ask for the key to the gate. I see a lot of home buyers have to reorder that after closing. And that's it. Once you sign the papers, you got the keys, you're now officially a homeowner to your new home. Congratulations. But after closing, here are some common scams that you should watch out for. Before I go over them, if you found this video helpful, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. You'll learn more about real estate than anywhere else. Thank you so much. And one of the most common scams after closing is receiving letters in the mail asking you to pay $40, $50, or sometimes even more to record your deed. Here's the truth. Your deed is already recorded with the county as part of the closing process, and you don't need to pay an extra fee. It just takes a few months before it shows up in the county website. And these letters can be designed to look very official. I personally almost got tricked, but you can definitely safely ignore them. And another scam to watch out for is the fake utility setup services. After closing, you may get calls pretending to represent the utility companies, asking for personal information or upfront payments to activate your service. Always verify their identity by contacting your utility provider directly using the number on their official website. Finally, be aware of phishing scams. These can come as emails or texts that look like they're from your lender, title company, or even your homeowner association, asking you to update your payment information or provide sensitive details. Never click on any suspicious links and always call the company directly to confirm if a request is legitimate. Homeownership is exciting and is absolutely worth it, but staying vigilant will keep your investment safe. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to share this video with others who might need it. Thanks for watching, and if you want to know the step-by-step guide on how to buy a new construction home, check out this next video.